Hi, welcome to today's webinar. So over the weekend we had the flexible furlough scheme formally launched by HMRC, which will go live on the 1st of July. And we thought it'd be useful just to run through some of the key points, because the guidance that HMRC have provided, there's 6 different types of guidance out there now, and it is a bit horrible, to be honest, to read through all of that. So we thought if we ran through a quick summary of the key points, just to help sort of guide you through that guidance. If I'll just share some slides with you, make that a little bit easier. So the first question then is, who can be flexibly furloughed? So the answer to that is only those employees who have previously been furloughed for a minimum of 3 weeks between the 1st of March and the 30th of June. So so the deadline for putting anybody new onto furlough was the 10th of June, so that has now passed. So it is only now those who have been onto furlough, those who have done the minimum 3 weeks and for whom you have either made or will make a successful claim for normal furlough, as we understand it up to now. Once you've identified those employees, you've got to agree with them that they will move on to the flexible furlough. As previously, that needs to be confirmed in writing. The employee doesn't need to sign that agreement in writing, but they do need to have agreed it, and you do need to send them that, normally by way of an email or a letter. This is where it then gets a little bit more complicated, because lots of employers were hoping to place, to split the furlough between their staff. So you've got half your staff who have been furloughed, you then swap them over for this final 3, 4, 5 weeks, however long you've chosen, so that you can then make use of this flexible furlough for both and give everyone sort of 3 days each, or however it works. Unfortunately, though, the government has confirmed that from 1st of July, you will only be able to flexibly furlough the same number as you have furloughed previously. So if you've furloughed 20 in March, 25 in April, 30 in May, and 30 in June, the most number of staff you can flexibly furlough at any one time will be 30. So you can't, unfortunately, split the pain between your staff, or a lot of employers will not be able to split the pain with their staff. Now, of course, that doesn't mean you can't agree part-time working with your staff in the normal course of events. It just means that you would not then be able to claim the balance of the money back through the furlough scheme. What do you then pay the employees? Well, for any of their hours worked, you pay them their normal salary, or whatever pay rate you have agreed with them. For the hours not worked, you must pay them the 80%, capped at £2,500. That then becomes a little bit more complicated as you move into, well, what can I claim back off CJRS? So for June and July, there is no change. It's as currently. You can claim back the full 80%, capped at 2,500, plus then national insurance and employers' pension contributions. From 1st of August, you will still be able to claim back the 80%, again, still capped at 2,500, but you will have to pay the national insurance and the pension contributions yourself. From September, you'll be able to claim back only 70% of their wages. Remember, you must still pay the 80%, and this is for the furloughed hours, the non-working hours. So you must still pay the 80%, but can only claim 70% back. And from October, you can only claim back 60%, albeit you still need to pay the 80%. So the government is slowly winding this scheme down. You're going to have to start paying for the privilege of placing people on furlough, which is, of course, going to focus a lot of people's minds on whether they still wish to use this scheme, or whether they want to look at restructures. Unfortunately, redundancies are likely to be a major consideration going forward. What are the other key points? So as with the current furlough scheme, employees cannot do any work for you whilst they're on their furlough hours. You've got to furlough people for a minimum of 1 week, whereas currently it's 3 weeks. And you must retain your records for at least 6 years. It was previously 5 years. And of course, that is going to become a much bigger task, working out what hours have they worked, what hours haven't they, keeping that record clear and obvious. And of course, if people are working from home, that becomes a lot more difficult to manage. What hours are they working? Some people are working a little bit earlier in the day to factor in that they may have to look after the children whilst they're off school. Some are working into the evenings. How do you keep that record and ensure it's accurate? It is a challenge, but you've got to do the best you can. And then, as we already knew, the scheme will come to an end on the 31st of October. So there is this deadline. And again, when we're looking at things like, do we carry on using this scheme? Do we need to restructure? Do we need to look at redundancies? You've got that deadline to consider. As I say, it is a particularly horrible set of guidance, lots and lots of different scenarios, but it's well worth reading. You're going to have to read through it. HMRC have produced some examples of what you need to do. If you go onto the gov.uk website, that's there, working you through step by step what you need to calculate, how you put the claim in, what you then need to do from there. But if you've got any queries, you've got any questions, I expect there'll be lots. You'll see my details on the screen. Please do contact me. Thank you.